Joining us to discuss these latest developments is Carlos Scott, VP of Marketing and Corporate Partnerships for Envision Marketing. Welcome back, Carlos. Great to see you.
Great to see you as well, Laverne.
Well, thanks for joining us. Now, we know that you've been friends with the mayor for quite some time. I know you know her and her husband well. Did you see this coming?
To be perfectly honest, I did not. And as emotional as it was for Mayor Bottoms, I must admit it was emotional as well for me to see not only my mayor, but as you mentioned, my friend of over 15 years come to that point. And so, the city is under siege from a lot of different things that have transpired over the past year. A lot of those things, to be perfectly honest, have nothing, I won't say don't have anything to do with the mayor because, everything falls downhill from there. But I do feel like there's a lot of outside forces that have been contributing to that stress, and so that just further complicates things. So.
Well, people know, of course, it hasn't been an easy term for Mayor Bottoms. She's had to deal with the coronavirus, a federal corruption investigation under her predecessor, Kasim Reed, a spike in homicides. Her opponents are saying that she simply was not focused on what's happening in Atlanta, the crime rate that's going up. What is your response to that?
Well, to piggyback on what you just said, she inherited a city that Mayor Kasim Reed, who was a great mayor as well as a friend of hers, but there were some things that have, to be perfectly honest, have been going on in the city for decades, from an infrastructure situation dating back all the way to Maynard Jackson, which he inherited. And so you can't expect in less than 3 years for Keisha to come in, for Mayor Bottoms to come in, mind you, and undo what 40 plus years of issues that have been laying there. And to add boot to that, you have the coronavirus epidemic. We got a governor who's opposing her at every fight that he can, and then you bring up the police situation. It is very unfortunate that Rashard Brooks had to lose his life, and that the officer who shot and killed him is now back on the job. But to me, I feel like that is not necessarily at the feet of the mayor as much as alone, rather, but the infrastructure of the people around her. Someone should have looked into what is the protocol, what is the procedure, because that is a union employee with the police department. And unfortunately, the police, as we already know, have qualified immunity in 90% of jurisdictions around the country. So these aren't things that the mayor's feet as alone as much as the collective. So.
Carlos, what about the relationship between the mayor and the governor, Georgia Governor Brian Kemp? They clashed over the coronavirus guidance, the city reopening. How much do you think that those interactions influenced her decision not to move forward with a second term?
Well, I don't want to assume, but I mean, this right there in front of us. I mean, the governor's mansion sits in the city of Atlanta under the purview of a black woman who is the mayor and a Democrat. Republican Brian Kemp, who was a staunch supporter of our former person in the White House, I don't even like to say his name publicly, you know who I'm talking about, clearly has an agenda. And so then you look at what just happened. He just signed the most racist and most restrictive voting law since before the passing of the Voting Rights Act in 1965. And so, all of those things are here, plus the crime, plus COVID, and then the vaccine rollout. There's a number of different issues and things that are there. So I think at the end of the day, politicians, people don't take into account that elected officials and their families, they take on a great burden because it's called public service for a reason. And there's a lot of stress. Let's not forget her husband lost almost, I think, 30 pounds or so after becoming positive with COVID-19. And so these are things that are weighing on her, as well as one of her children. So these are things that definitely are weighing on her as we go to this point. It's just that typically we like to see our leaders bunker down and strategize and stay to it. That's what we are accustomed to. But respectfully, I can't say that I don't see why she wouldn't want to go back to public service and let somebody else, any of these naysayers who claim that they can do a better job, give them an opportunity to do a better job. And so I think that's pretty much where she's at with that.
And that's certainly understandable that, she has family issues and whatnot, but she is seen as a rising star. She has been seen as a rising star in the Democratic Party. So do you not think that she would move forward in some other type of position in public service or something high profile?
Well, that's everybody. That's the lingering question, right? Everybody wants to know what's next. I mean, let's not forget, my dear friend Miss Bottoms, Mayor Bottoms, is an attorney. She's a former judge. She's very intelligent, a dynamic orator. So whether it's book deals, whether it's becoming a political consultant for a network, hey, maybe like BNC, or whether it's going into the private practice or some other thing.
Make that call for us. Hook us up. Hook us up, Carlos.
But in all seriousness, I think the world is at Mayor Bottoms' feet from a standpoint of what her and her husband Derek pivot to in the next chapter of their lives. And they have she has individually and collectively some time to think about what that next move is. You got to keep in mind that it's only May, so she still has time in the office and still has a job to do. So you can't forget about that. So she can't focus so much on what the next move is when you got a city to run. And I know with much confidence she'll do very well for the next 6 or so months, or however long we have her as our mayor.
Well, Carlos, we're out of time, but thank you so much for joining us today with your insights and opinions. And please pass along to Mayor Bottoms. We would love to have her here on BNC. I would love to speak with her, so please send that message to her.